Camp Crystal Lake.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2009 horror remake Friday the 13th. The film is directed by Marcus Nispel and it stars Jared Padalecki, Amanda Righetti, Derek Mears, Danielle Panabaker, Travis Van Winkle and Aaron Yu. Right, okay, this is the big budget remake of the classic. Well, when I say it's the remake of the original Friday the 13th, it's really more of a remake of the second one, I suppose. But obviously, here we get a bunch of teens that initially turn up around Camp Crystal Lake. They get to meet Jason. They get slaughtered. And then it kind of shoots forward 6 weeks, and Jared Padalecki's character, Claire, is looking for his sister, who was part of the group of teens at the beginning of the film. So she's obviously missing. He's trying to find out what happened. Some more teens turn up to a holiday home at the lake to have fun. Unfortunately, they also run into Jason. Right, what are my thoughts on this remake of Friday the 13th? Well, as you know, guys, if you've been following the content, I have been reviewing over the last few weeks, well, a couple of months really now, I guess, all the Friday the 13th films. There's a playlist on the channel if you want to check out what I've reviewed already. This is the last one. Because I've already reviewed Freddy vs. Jason when I did my review of the Friday the 13th films. So I've added that into the playlist as well. So I've actually been quite looking forward to this one, I'm not going to lie. Because the back end of the Friday the 13th films that I watched, weren't brilliant, really. There was obviously some quite good ones in the Friday the 13th series of films, and, I do mention those in my reviews. But to actually see like a big budget remake from the guy that brought us the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which was, received very well, both critically and commercially. Yeah, I've been quite looking forward to this. First time I've seen this one, so it is a first time watch for me. And my thoughts really are on this, that I actually really quite enjoyed this. I probably can understand like traditionalists maybe having an issue with bits and pieces, but I thought really as far as remakes go, and as I've said, it's not really a remake of the original, because the original, obviously, the mum was the killer. Now, it does cover that at the beginning of this film. You do see the mum going a bit loopy, killing the counsellors and then getting beheaded, and then you see Jason kind of take the head off and decide to take his revenge. So it's mainly this. Quite clearly, it's a remake of the second one, but it also has elements of probably around the first 4 movies, maybe. Definitely the first 3, I'd say. It kind of covers bits and pieces of all of them. Now, I mean, one of the things this film doesn't do a particularly great job with is very unmemorable characters. But again, you could throw that accusation at pretty much all the Friday the 13th films. There's a couple here that stand out. Obviously, you've got Jared Padalecki's character as Clay. I thought it was a good idea to bring another character in who is not just some teenager looking to have sex, drink alcohol, get high, and all that kind of stuff. He's there for a purpose. He's looking for his sister. Jared Padalecki obviously is famous for Supernatural. He's a big guy as well, so you're kind of thinking, this is going to be interesting when he gets to meet Jason. So I like that angle of him coming to look for his sister. I also like the angle in the film. I mean, obviously a huge coincidence, but the fact that his sister is actually still alive, being held in Jason's lair because she's got a striking resemblance to his mother. I thought that was quite interesting. Quite enjoyed that aspect of it. The rest of the teens really, they're just there to get minced, really, by Jason, chopped, minced, hacked, whatever you want to call it. Beyond that, really, there's nobody real of interest, really. I have to say, I really, really enjoyed how Jason was portrayed in this film. Gone is the supernatural element of Jason here. He feels like a brutish man who is really, he's got his own territory, and he's almost like he's defending it, viciously, like some kind of rabid animal. So I thought that was really, really cool how he was presented. He was brutal, he was swift, he wasn't like slow and plunderous. He could move in this, and I quite like that, and I like the way it was filmed and how he felt like a really frightening presence, almost like Leatherface in a lot of ways. He reminded me, just the way he was. Like I say, he didn't feel like a walking zombie or anything like that. So I did really enjoy how he was presented here in this film. I thought it was really, really cool. He starts off with the sack on his head, and then he finds a hockey mask fairly early in the film. So that was pretty cool. I also like the fact that, in other Friday the 13th films and other slashers in general, the slasher or the killer is always where the killer needs to be, is there to kill someone. Whereas this film kind of portrays Jason as having his own lair, and he's got like a series of underground tunnels, so it kind of makes sense. He knows how to kind of traverse his underground tunnels and how to get to places. And I thought that was really quite a smart and clever idea. I liked some of the ideas. I'm not saying they all paid off here, but I did like quite a lot of the ideas that they were, playing around with in this film. Pretty good, and I enjoyed pretty much all the kills here. I thought they were well put together. I thought they were vicious and brutal, and memorable for the most part as well. So I actually was really quite surprised by this. I was also surprised by the rating that this kind of gets on places like IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, and it's, for me, it's far too low. This is actually, I think, quite a solid remake of. I keep wanting to say the original, but it isn't the remake of the original. Only in title, really. I thought it was well made. They knew what they were going for, the vision they were going for. It feels modern and fresh, brutal, and a more grounded, realistic portrayal of Jason, and not the plundering zombie that we kind of see. And I'm not dissing that. I quite enjoy that version of Jason in the original Friday the 13th films. When he finally comes to the fore as this supernatural being, if you like. I quite enjoy that, I really do. But this felt like a real fresh approach, and it worked for me. And whereas the early Friday the 13th films, like Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3 maybe, the Jason that they portrayed in that was, you could argue, similar to the Jason in this, because he was a bit swifter and he moved a bit faster and stuff. But this, like I say, he just felt really an anonymous, a real frightening presence, and quite a terrifying presence, and completely and utterly without mercy, and very, very brutal in his approach to taking out his prey, as they really did feel like prey to him in this film. There's things you could pick at here, where this house on the lake that this lad's rich parents obviously vacation at. How come they've never met Jason before? Jason has been there in his lair. How come he never came knocking before? So that there's lots of little things you could kind of pick at here, plot holes and stuff. But as an entertaining horror film, I thought this did really well, and I'm quite surprised that they didn't get a sequel. I would have been interested to see more of this version of Jason, but obviously that wasn't to be. So yeah, guys, thanks very much for joining me for these series of Friday the 13th reviews. I've actually really enjoyed my time reviewing the Friday the 13th films. I hope you've enjoyed watching them. Thank you very much. And obviously, I will be back with plenty more content on the channel very soon.